allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, let's see. Can we seat you for anybody? Thad's not here, but he's an alternate anyway. I think we can.
No, Thad's a regular, isn't he?
That's still an alternate.
Huh? No?
We gotta work on that.
Well, we're working on it, but he's.
Well, we're missing Barbie, right?
Oh, yeah, we'll suit Donna for Barbie. If there's anyone here for any matter that is not on the agenda, we'd be happy to listen to you at this point. No? Okay, we'll move on. Before we get into the show cause hearings, I know someone's here for 507 Jeremy Swamp Road. We have not heard from Deep yet, so we really can't do much until we hear from them. So if you want to go home, you're welcome to stay. I don't mean to chase you off, but if you'd rather not be here, you can go home, and we'll see you at the next meeting. Sorry.
Thank you, Bob. Yes, sir.
Is it open to the public to speak yet?
Yep. Just
Yeah.
come up and state your name. And your address, please.
Sure. Let's see here, I got everything. There it is. Good evening, everybody. My name is Derek Scoville. I live at 67 Hollow Swamp Road, Southbury, Connecticut. I am here today to discuss my concerns regarding 1200 Main Street South. I have known you are concerned about the wetlands since December of 2022. There have been problems here to many, many years. The wetlands were filled in by who knows what. The soil is contaminated with chemicals, hydrocarbons. The brook is polluted and also a number of fires, but you all should take into consideration the two gas transmission lines that cross the piece, including the wetlands. It runs between the building and the parking lot into the wetlands and also crosses Hollow Swamp Road. Allowing the owner to dig in the pond area may also include part of the easement that Algonquin Gas has. Does this excavation go on the easement? The approval would also require Algonquin permission and need to be on site for any remedies. A lot of back area is filled in the wetlands. The property was maxed out when it was built. Instead of discussing moving construction materials, debris elsewhere, it should be moved off the property. The parking lot may be flat, but where there is a heavy rain, the water runs down the driveway onto Hollow Swamp Road. Before the town repave our road and put in drainage, it would flood across the road and make a pond. Now there is a catch basin at the end of the driveway. Moving construction material will only allow any contaminants to run into the catch basin, there into the brook, and then into the Pomperaug River. This is what the Wetlands Agency wants. Also, Hollow Swamp is at the corner and would get closed in heavy rains because of flooding. The pipe under the road is larger now, which shows the amount of water coming off the main mountain in the drainage. From I-84, it's still an issue even though the road is fixed, but any runoff from outside storage will still enter the brook. The asphalt piles along my property should be removed. This was a grass area for many years. This will increase the size of the parking lot with more runoff onto Hollow Swamp. Why is the buffer zone being eliminated? Also, is there a back pipe in the brook in front of the building near the road? This is next to the town drainage system. You could see this black pipe clearly now that the heavy rains have washed away the dirt holding. This was brought onto your attention to an enforcement officer. This is not a town's drainage. What is a drainage into the brook? Is it now for months later and no one seems to care? Please address the issues of my concerns allowing catastrophe to occur at this end of town. when I go home, it is to Hollow Swamp. Now, also I have with me, it's from 1995, the DEP report of what leaked into that brook. So,
Thank you,
here's a
Mr.
copy
Scoville.
of it. Now, here's a copy of the 2 MSDS sheets of how bad those chemicals are. There's a copy of it. Okay? Now, I also have pictures showing, that's when Hebert's son owned it, how clean it was in the back. There's gyro. There's all the mess back there. There's the pipe. It's not a town's pipe. Why? Because I took the whole week off when they did my road because I wanted to make sure it was done right. Here's all the asphalt piles. And there's the one from my fence. So,
We will be getting to this a bit later. And
Okay.
we will discuss that with all those points with the engineer.
thank you.
Thank you very much for coming in and for your efforts in trying to help us out here. We appreciate it.
So I love the environment, and that's what I care. I work with animals all day long, so I don't want to see nothing get harmed or injured.
Very good. Thank you, sir. I appreciate
You're
it.
welcome.
Thank you.
Anyone else have for public comment or participation at this point? Okay, we're going to move on then. Show cause hearing continuations, 655 North Georges Hill Road. Do we have, Mr. Ved, you are here.
Yeah.
Okay. We just got your application and plan today, so no one's seen it.
Oh, okay.
So we're not really in a position to discuss it. Sorry. I was upstairs today. In fact, I think
I
I
brought it
saw you
today.
as I was leaving.
Oh, really?
So we haven't had a chance to see it. The enforcement officer hasn't had a chance to see it.
Okay.
And while I'm sure we will have questions, I don't think any of us are prepared for that right now. So we will need to put that off until next month.
Okay, so I can come in
Sorry-
and.
Sorry for the delay, but we do need to go over the materials.
Got it. Got it. Should I come in person and go over it,
That's
the
perfectly fine.
drawing,
We
in
can,
That
case
would be
there's
fine. If you
questions
want, and
before we
certainly
get?
we will call you if we feel we need to do that, but if you want
Okay.
to set up an appointment to discuss it, that'd be great.
Okay,
just
yeah.
while I have you, Mr. Van Gelden, the zoning application that you put in today on paper,
Yeah,
that will have to be online.
oh, okay,
If you need assistance with that, you can come into the office and we can handle it on the
Sure,
computer
sure.
right there. And to continue, I was looking into the regulations relating to the duck shed that you
Yeah.
were looking into, and it does have to be 50 feet,
50 feet.
30 feet.
Oh, I'll
Okay.
have to move it.
So we'll just, we'll
It's
discuss.
30 right now.
It's 30 right now, yeah, right on the dot, pretty much, but we'll discuss that moving forward, because we have a couple odd ends that we need to tie up from the zoning aspects of it.
Okay,
All right?
all right.
Why 50? It's R60, isn't it?
But it's based on the lot size,
Okay,
not the residential district.
okay.
I'll make the motion to continue the cease and correct order at 655 North Georges Hill Road.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Carl. The next matter is 126 Lower Fish Rock. What's our status?
Would you like to just give the commission an update on
Yeah, please.
where we landed? Mr. Chairman Spencer had stopped by the Land Use Office today and had a meeting with Judy and I, the planning director. 126 Lower Fish Rock Road is undergoing extensive clear cutting. And I apologize, I didn't include the first light violation notification, but they are actively participating in enforcement on their portion of the parcel. From a wetland standpoint, we have a difficult time enforcing this because the 100-foot upland review area is fully encompassed within First Light's parcel. So it's a bit of, who's going first and who's got the jurisdiction. Given, we kind of discussed, and given that First Light is handling the enforcement, from a town perspective, we should just monitor the situation moving forward. And if First Light requires additional efforts on our part, then we would go about and try and figure out ways to enforce with the regulations as they're kind of written, because all we really have is a definition of the upland review area to give us jurisdiction past the 100-foot line. So if this commission is amicable to monitoring the situation and allowing First Light to operate and just standing by in case they need extra support.
They're definitely aware of it.
100%, yeah. They actually sent me the violation
And they
notification.
really have primary jurisdiction. So if this is an objection, I think we just let them run with it and track it. No objection, that's what we'll do.
Will they still need to bring an application to us, or? is it-
Yes, that will still have to happen,
Okay. So they just need to be aware of that.
yeah. As we've already determined, I talked with Jordan and Judy this afternoon, that we probably have jurisdiction, it's just a matter of who's gonna head this thing up. But if and when they start to wanna do anything else, I think they have to come back to us, fill out an application, and then we can see what First
because-
Light's got them doing.
Yeah, because all of the other lake owners, they all have to come
Yeah,
through us, and
absolutely.
that's still within the First Light jurisdictional setbacks
Yeah,
or
that
whatever,
doesn't
so,
change, this is just a matter of getting the enforcement piece done, because they've already grossly violated
okay.
First Light's rights. Next matter is 1200 Main Street South. Mr. Mack, I think you're up.
Hello, everyone. John Mack. John Mack, the Stuart Summers Company.
Jeremy Spath from Stuart Summers Company.
Pass out the revised plans from last month.
If you'd like, I think Sonia can get them up on the big screen.
What's that?
If you'd like, Sonia can get it up on the big screen, but we can pass out a couple just to review.
Four.
Perfect.
This is for conclusion. John Mack with Stuart Summers again, and this is for 1200 Main Street South. In the corner of Hollow Swamp Road, and I was here last, or 3 weeks ago. And we went over everything that he wanted to do. He's just repaving, basically repaving. It's an existing building, commercial building. And there's existing parking out there to the right, to the north end of the property. There are some piles of debris he's gonna take away. And it does abut the Derek Scoville's property. And there is some debris going over the property that he's gonna remove. And then that outside storage area, I was close to the existing pond, so I moved it over 100 feet away from the pond. And I did a detention study, and I sent it to Jordan, and it works. We have a 1.5 by 2.5 foot deep, 2-inch stone trench all the way around that shaded pavement. That area was paved before, but it all broke up. It was paved and gravelled. So, we're just gonna pave it, and then we're gonna, right now, it just goes right into the pond. There's no detention. So with that edging of the two, it's like a reverse curtain drain. It'll take the water from the new pavement and percolate it into the ground. before it gets to that pond, so. And then he's gonna clean up the area on Bob Moss's, piece to the, I think it's to the, west? Yeah, to the west.
Yep.
So, and he does have the piles of dirt in front, and he is doing, spreading those out. He had permission from you guys the last meeting to do that, so.
Yep, that's.
He's actually trying to clean up the site from what it was.
I think one of the questions we had was, resulted in this report. So, this is a little over my head, frankly. Quickly, what kind of
It's,
loading will the trench be able to handle?
It's a 10-year, I did it for a 10-year storm, not for a 1-inch or 2-inch storm, not for a 5, but I did it for a 10-year storm. And it has the capacity with the stone voids to handle a 10-year storm from that area, from the paved area. So that just, it shows that most of the storms that when are 2-inch or 1.5 or inch storms that create the runoff and create the sand and the antifreeze or whatever to go off into the edge of the pave, usually a curb there, and then there's a catch basin. There's gonna be no curb, and there's no catch basins. So it's just gonna go into this edging and percolate into the ground before it hits the pond.
Okay, how about going the other way down the driveway? Mr. Scoville expressed some concerns about runoff from the
Oh, in
driving
front?
and parking area going in the front.
In the front, there's a basin, I think there's a catch basin there, existing one.
Yeah, that's what he mentioned also.
Yeah, and it's been there since the building was built. So, we did do improvements with the town on the drainage in Hollow Swamp Road. We put new catch basin, there was no catch basins there before.
Yeah, that was put in when the road
That
was
was,
redone.
it was redone recently, what, a year ago, 2 years ago. So the catch basins are in, and they have sumps in them, so there is, that to protect the stream. Before, they would just, all the sand and debris would just go wash into that unnamed, stream. That stream comes around from the pond. Jordan, could you put the, site plan back up?
Hey, Sonia, can you reopen the site plan, please? Yeah, it's the last file.
There you go. If you look at the shade, go back down, or up, yep. If you look at the shaded area, there's that the pond is in blue, existing pond, and it goes over towards, it goes on the property of Bob Moss, and it goes south, and then it goes east in front of the building, and it flows in front of the building. It's a very flat slope, and that's where there's a lot of wetlands. And then it goes across Hollow Swamp Road and continues south. So the filling, those piles are coming out in front, and then there's topsoil piles, so they're spreading that, and they're gonna seed and mulch it, and hopefully grass will grow, and and it does show the pipe, the catch basin in front of the building, which is on the Hollow Swamp side. That's always been there, and they did repave that area, but they used the same paved footprint. And then there is the gas line that goes through there from the east to the west, and we do have notes on there on our plan that say you gotta contact the gas line, the gas company, before any work is done in there, in that area.
Be a good idea.
Yeah, so we've done that further down the road
And there's no outside, there will be no outside storage, correct?
There is gonna be a outside storage area to the right of the existing parking lot, a little bit to the west.
Where's the square right here?
The square box,
Square, it's a square, it's,
They're proposing
just
to fence
west
this
of the
area and
stockpile.
take any
Very near the property line.
What's gonna,
and in those calculations, there is a
anything that's
coverage.
in here, and they would store it in here, essentially, was the plan.
Where did the piles of topsoil come from?
is there
Those were put there back in
Open
December,
air,
I
yeah,
think,
it's not a structure.
or
there's
November.
no
And
container?
then Jordan,
Did that come
They
from
were
the
purchased-
paving in the front lot?
Not from,
Uh,
based on this, there's
no,
no
that's
design of
topsoil
what the fence would
piles.
actually be.
No, I mean, before they paved it, where did the piles come from is where she's, like, where did the dirt
For
come from?
like an
Was it purchased
impervious fencing.
Just for seating?
I think they were
That's an
from
option, I
off-site,
think that's a great option,
because it's clean topsoil.
but they can't do a structure out here, they're already at max
Okay,
coverage.
thank you.
Where the piles came from?
Thank you, Charlie.
The piles came from the front, that was all gravel.
Mike, real quick, do you mind just
sorry,
stating your
yeah.
name and address?
Mike DePompe, the owner, Apple Real Estate. And pertaining to the piles that are in the other side of the building, in the parking lot, that led me into the trouble that I was in, not knowing that I shouldn't have been doing any work there. It was gravel in front of the building, I guess it was the decor at the time. It was gravel, and it was weeds growing between it and whatnot, so when I bought the building, I had plans on removing the gravel, and that's what I did, I removed the gravel and put it in the back, and that's how it created piles.
And that's going where?
Either it's gonna be laid out and then put blacktop up on top of it,
Okay,
use it as a base.
okay. The,
Wait,
out,
Well, we're talking about the piles that are near
The front.
the,
By the street in front.
right, and so
By
you're saying
Main Street?
that might be paved over?
No. I was referring to the piles in the other side. You're talking about the piles closer to Main Street. Those piles there are gonna be graded back and seeded.
Okay.
So she's asking, where did they came from?
They came,
Off-site?
no, it was a part of the site, it was just moved around. As we removed the gravel, we had the better soil that didn't have the gravel on it, so that's why we piled it up and moved it. And then a little bit in the front parking lot, when we were doing the blacktop,
Strip the gravel.
we graded that a little bit,
Those
and that
piles are
created some more.
been seeded.
what's gonna be in the outside storage area?
Some of my materials, some of my scaffolding, some of my tools. I mean, that,
My concern is I don't want a bunch of junk out there that in adverse weather conditions is gonna be leaking oil and,
no oily type of stuff, scaffolding or ladders or nothing that pertains, there's no oily equipment gonna be there at all.
So everything that's there currently is gonna get removed?
Well, I mean, I wasn't allowed to touch anything
Yes, I know.
under the directive, but anything that's oily, any type of oily content will be removed, yes. Yes.
okay, so no
Sure.
concrete, no sand.
Well, sand and concrete,
The concern is, this is open storage. It gets rained on, whatever it hits is gonna go off-site, unless it's, a tractor. And if it's a tractor, it can leak. So, since this isn't contained in any way, I think I have some concern that there would be contaminated runoff going onto other parts of the property. So if if you're storing concrete block, we don't have to worry about it. But if you're storing 50-gallon drums of
Yeah, no,
anything, that's a problem.
understood. No, there won't be no storage of any kind of contaminants or oil or petroleum base.
This trench at the, this trench at the end of the proposed paved area, that was filled in, semi-filled in, I guess, in the springtime, Jordan, when we were out there?
You're talking just where the corner of the pavement starts to meet the existing pond?
Correct.
That is delineated on the checked mark
Okay, so this is all gonna be cleaned out, I guess, in the process?
Their proposal for the check-marked area, existing debris to be removed from area with permission from owner Bob Moss, and that area seems to be of the same likeness, but it doesn't have a specific note related to what's gonna happen to it.
And that's where you were talking about the stone is gonna go in?
Yeah, the trench,
Okay.
reverse drain, yeah.
And then the yard drain, do we have a detail where that goes? that
Which
shown on
one
there?
is that?
Right by the, so,
Existing paved parking?
yeah, you have loading dock doors and a yard drain.
That
Oh.
goes to the existing pond.
And it appears to daylight onto the stream.
Oh, the one in the front, from the
Correct.
Hollow Swamp, that
Yeah.
goes into the stream.
Everything is all existing.
I think that's existing from the original build,
It's,
I
correct?
think it is too.
Yeah, because
Been
when I
there
reviewed
forever.
that pipe, the pipe looked old. Yeah, the pipe looked old,
okay, yeah.
When I
So,
was
yeah,
out
that
there.
pipe's been there forever.
yeah,
Where does that daylight? I'm sorry.
right
In
out to the stream.
You can see the,
To-
In the back here,
Straight
or?
shot.
Directly in the front, no, in the front of the building?
you're talking about this
Yep.
pipe here.
Oh, no, I was talking about this yard, it's called, calls it out as a yard drain.
Oh, sorry, Dan.
Isn't that what he's talking about?
What's Dan talking about?
The one in the shaded area, right next to
That one?
3-foot existing door.
Where is it?
It's right there.
Okay, yep.
Do you know where it goes?
It goes to the.
We need a pointer.
Yeah,
But you've never found a daylight.
well,
Laser pointer.
I mean, you,
Maybe it would make sense to close it up.
This one here? And then sheet flow it.
Yeah.
Well, that was
mean,
the
you-
purpose.
the concern is, you have impervious surface,
Yeah,
loading docks, you're gonna end up with
you got a conduit
something.
channeling
That's
right
what I
on.
was saying
channeling this
before.
right back to the stream.
I think that, yeah, that's got.
Those are always
that-
trouble,
Those
yard
yard
drains.
drains, whether we know where they go or not, unless they're contained somewhere, I think you're gonna have to fill them.
And I presume this whole paved area is gonna be graded towards the ditch?
Pitched
trench?
towards the pond, you mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very flat, right?
Yeah, no, I realize that, I'm just saying,
Almost
everything's
naturally.
going over there.
I think it naturally pitches that direction currently. Yeah, it appears to already pitch in that
Right now,
direction.
there's no detention, there's no protection of the
Right,
pond.
yeah, it just goes,
What we're proposing is
I think we should.
take
What
the
do you
gravel
think?
6 feet away from the pond.
I think
Too
it's a good idea.
complicated.
Was,
I think it's a good idea.
was there a phase one
Water, too
environmental
much
site
concern.
assessment done ever on this?
there's a few different things,
Yeah, this is,
for sure.
they were checking our wells across the street and the Scolvers. They didn't test, you didn't let them test your water? Okay. So what happened, they tested our well water probably 2 years?
On this site?
Yes, so this is.
There's monitoring wells on the site,
Yes, it's,
Yeah, toward the front of the building.
all over the place, yeah.
Well, they're all over, but there was a big release of something in the front of the building. I don't know what it was.
exactly. And so they monitor the, see what's going off-site. So they usually do it by the monitoring wells for the groundwater, and sometimes they do wells that are, adjacent to the property. So we allowed them to do our well. We were in a certain radius. And also, I think Conlon next door, they did their well, I'm pretty sure.
Do we have any? I guess it
They
kinda
never
doesn't
found
pertain to
anything in
this,
our
but
well, but our well is up, uphill. The groundwater's going down to the west.
We're across the street
Well,
on
how
Main.
about the monitoring wells?
Groundwater's gone to my farm.
What are they finding in the monitoring wells? Do you know?
I don't know right now.
What are they
This was a
monitoring
couple of
for?
years ago, when DEP was involved,
VOCs,
but they did not find anything in our well. I was only allowed our well at the time. But what I was gonna say was that, that pipe in the front where it drains directly into the stream, we can take a look at that and see if we can do something to intercept it a little bit.
There are a number of issues here, I think, and I appreciate the work you've done to try to improve it and make it better. The site's had a pretty long and checkered history.
Oh, yeah. So we used to smell chemicals every day over there.
Great.
Paint.
And
Every
a
day.
bunch of them are in the front.
So we're here because they started work on the property without any permits,
Right.
and we want to get that over with. So I think the erosion, the best thing for erosion is to plant it quick
Mhm.
and not do anything more, get it seeded, get it stabilized. That's one part. This is kind of like a second part where he wanted to, Mike, wanted to repave that back area at the same time. And
You
the
know, none of
pond-
this conceptually seems to be an issue, but there are a lot of details that are difficult to deal with. It has been suggested that maybe we should send this out for engineering review by an outside firm. What do you guys think, folks think of that?
And what's that for, though? Is that for the, because we're here now for the show cause,
Well,
erosion control.
yeah, we can deal with that, but before
That's
we
the
go
part I'm trying to get over, the show
further,
cause.
I think we're gonna need to get some outside assistance, because we don't have the internal skill set to be able to look at some of the stuff that Mr. Mack has put together. And every time we look at this, we come up with other issues, like the yard drains.
The yard drain's there. So what I'm proposing is, we can take a look at it and maybe do something better than what's there now. But it's there, it's existing.
Fine, but you're
The,
redoing the property, and
uh,
if we're doing that, and we can eliminate a source of contamination, we wanna do it.
But you know, the environmental site assessment would point out the concerns that they had at the time the property changed hands. So in a way, it's like, well, what did they see, you know, and have those concerns been addressed? So instead of having to do, it's like doing an environmental site assessment.
It is, and rather than do it piecemeal, other than taking care of the immediate issues, I
That's
think
for
maybe
anything that's proposed for now. So right now, we're trying to take care of the show cause. I can see getting rid of the pavement, okay? There's a show cause hearing regarding the erosion control we're all set with. It's anything that we propose. The paving,
That you want reviewed.
I'm
I mean,
just trying to,
with the initiative, I mean,
I'm with
an
the whole
existing yard
site-
drain, you're changing the surface from a impermeable to an impermeable surface.
okay,
I
so
mean, that would be,
the front paving that he did,
The front grading.
paving, he did paving. There was gravel in the front, forget that,
Yep.
that's proposed. In the front, what he did was, that was gravel. That gravel that ran off, it went directly into the ground, it always ran off to that corner right there to the left. That catch basin, there is now, but there's also a pipe that goes underneath there, there was a drainage swale, a little short drainage swale, maybe 25 feet. So that he paved in the front. So during the show cause, that's part of the show cause, I see it as, okay? And then there was the piles of dirt he had that you grabbed from the parking, and you were doing a little work in the front that you created these piles, okay? In the back, that was always across the property line. I look back like you did in the history, it's been across, and I did talk to Bob Moss on that. He would go either way, remove it, leave it, he doesn't care. The pond was always there, and it was always close to the pond. So I'm just trying to separate the two. So what we want to get by the show cause,
And just focus on the application moving
then the
forward.
application, that's separate, and then we could, send it out.
Send it out for review.
He was
Okay.
trying, what Mike was trying to do is, we did tell Mike, we want to take care of the show cause first.
They did.
But we did tell him that, and he wanted to try the paving.
But once the show cause is lifted,
Yeah.
you still can't do anything, because you don't have a permit.
No, just erosion.
He
We
can
just do the erosion control. so you-
grade
yeah.
and seed the front area, which has
Then-
already been given
Yeah.
approval.
So
We've already
then-
said you can do that, so what is it that you want to do?
Well, I was told I could only do it in the front.
You can only, yeah, that's what was agreed.
We want to get through the show
Right,
cause, which
right.
has to do with
Just
the
the show
grading
cause.
and that paving in the front.
Right.
Yeah, I'm looking a little ahead and saying if we can get, if this is the plan that you're going to propose
For the paving on the right.
for everything, let's get it rolling and get it, if we want it out, let's get it out and have whoever take a look at it and take into consideration the yard drains and all the other stuff
All right, that's
that
fine.
needs to be addressed.
Are we through the show cause, though?
I think we're,
I think we're kind of
Last
done with the
meeting?
show
yeah, the show cause, let's
That's
Because
get
we
that
said-
seeded, spread out, seeded, and
Exactly.
done.
All right,
Then we
so
can move
that's,
on to the,
Yeah, so we're under show cause
We
right
didn't
now.
lift it. I
Okay,
think
so
we could
that's-
do that today.
That's what we're trying, then going forward.
Then we need to go ahead and do the rest.
That's what I'm trying to separate, so
You
I'm
know,
just trying to understand it. That's
I think
fine.
Bill's trying to make sure this, approving the show, or lifting the show cause doesn't allow us to go in the
No,
back
no, we're
and
not-
start
we're not
working on that.
proposing What he was trying to do was he paved the front and he wanted to pave the back. And we told him we should get out of the show cause and then we would go forward.
Yeah, just, you can't, you recognize,
Sure.
I think you do at this point.
At this point, yes.
Because we said it 300 times. really, we can lift the show cause, but you still don't have permission to do anything else. And given this is in the middle of a wetland and is built on a wetland, because it is, nothing else can
And,
happen until a permit's issued.
The other thing, I did talk to Mike, there was some, there's some debris, that storage area, it's a huge area right now, okay? That there's a bunch of, there's,
Existing.
that might be part of the show cause that you're gonna remove that. Is that part of it? All the, there's a lot of junk back
The junk in the back?
No, we're gonna clear it out, and anything that's, liquidy or anything that's oily content is gonna be cleaned up, it's gonna be neatened up.
We would
Once the
like
show
that
closes.
done.
Yeah, that's what,
yes.
this is what, because you're gonna, try to, the show cause, we're gonna try to get that over with. So that whole area back there, there's a lot of debris back there, and if Mike's willing to clean that up, that will help you, clean that up. And there's also some debris over Mr. Scoville's property. We like to pull that back.
You're talking about the north and northwest.
Just, not near the pond,
Segment.
not near the
Not
pond.
near the
We're just
pond, okay.
talking over the property line, there's some, little bit of debris. You see that?
Corner there.
I don't have the laser pointer.
I know,
Throw
yeah.
something at
Where
it.
Mr. Scoville's name is?
Up in this corner, right about there, yeah, right there, it slightly goes over up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what we were trying to do, and this is not proposed right now, is reduce that to a certain area. This whole equipment storage, is a bunch of junk out there now.
Yeah,
So if
that's,
we can let him clean that up, that would be good. It will improve. And it's part of the show cause.
okay, so what we're proposing to do is lift the show cause and let you go ahead with getting the stuff off Mr. Scoville's property, cleaning up.
With permission from
With
Mr.
your
Yeah,
permission,
we'll be
of
in,
written
course.
permission.
Contact with Jordan, and you can make a report after this, before
Mhm.
and after.
So sorry to talk out of turn, is my property line gonna be marked out?
I actually told your brother tonight, I talked to him, and I said I would mark out the property, just for you. I just mark it out, yeah. no
Just for the record, so we have it, if you don't mind, could you articulate the steps you would like to take if we lift the show cause tonight?
You want me to tell you? You wanna do it?
Well, basically, we're gonna remove any oily content, if there is any. I don't know that there is, but if there is any oily content, any petroleum content will be removed,
On the outside of the building?
Yeah, yeah. And we'll neaten up the area, and we'll condense it.
Condense it, try to condense it to that area.
Yes, condense it to the area proposed that,
So it's less.
yes.
That's not clear. Someone
I
reads
can-
that, they will not know what you're talking about. You're gonna,
Can I?
Sure,
Okay.
sure, sure.
And if I say something wrong, you
Okay,
can.
okay.
So, there's an area out here, and I've only been out here a couple times, and I wasn't really looking, but there's an existing outside equipment storage area right there, right?
Mhm.
Mike, what's there now?
Some scaffolding, some
There's vehicles.
some work trucks.
Vehicles, I mean, when we were out there in the spring, there was drums, containers, there was
I know we
diesel
have to-
fuel
There's
tanks.
bolts in the containers. Those containers have bolts in them.
I can meet
But
you
either way.
out there, I can go over with you.
Sure.
You can meet with Jordan, we're the same time.
Mhm.
And what we wanna do is, instead of being all spread out, we wanna move away from the pond and kinda condense it. So
Yes.
it's just, clean up.
Put it into where, the area that you're proposing to keep it in.
Yeah, that's what, just kinda condense it, because that's what we were trying to do. It wasn't an outside storage area we were proposing, it was really, we're trying to condense it. So this area here, where it says proposed, and that area there, we'll condense the scaffolding, get rid of all, I'll look at it with you and Jordan and John. And get rid of anything that's tainted, okay?
You
I don't think there's any oil out there.
No.
Okay. But there is a lot of junk,
You stabilize it,
Out there.
yeah.
stabilize it and
A lot of
reseed it.
trucks.
You got all those trucks in the back.
Yeah, I'll take a look at that with Mike, I'll go over it with you. That's what we're trying to propose to do. This, we won't do anything with that. The only areas we want to do is like the areas that he disturbed is just really A and C.
Charlie, that back area was all tore up and mud and everything. Can you stabilize it and reseed it back there?
Yeah, we'll do all that, like for the show cause for erosion. And then, let's take care of that first.
Can you yeah, I will be out there. Can you be more defined and specific with the areas that you do not intend to touch?
Don't intend to touch anything, I'll tell Mike.
No, I think that's just that's where Bill is coming from. He wants you guys to be as specific as possible so we don't get too
Pave
far.
anything, we're not going to dig
No.
anything with an excavator. The only thing we're doing is we're taking a rake, basically, when I say rake, is we're just gonna clean it. And we're
Yeah.
gonna have a meeting before you start cleaning, okay?
Okay.
Yeah,
I can go out there, I know what to do. If I go out there with you, with Jordan,
okay,
I'll say clean this.
if somebody reads this transcript, they will have no idea what you're talking
No,
about.
but we're just trying to get out of the show cause.
I understand that.
And so the show cause was really erosion control?
Primarily, and we don't want, yeah, it's mostly erosion control. We want
We're
that
trying to go a little-
fixed,
We're trying to go a little further and clean up.
yes.
I think all you have to say is that their activities will be confined to the area
North
that's
side of the
marked,
building.
marked as
Have to
the
have that
existing
application
outside storage area.
Right, on site plan and erosion control,
And
parking lot improvements, S1.
There you go.
we're not,
As well as the existing grass lawn area
That's it, yeah.
along the southern portion.
I'll accept that, thank you.
Okay.
then after that, we'll meet.
Oh,
Good.
We're
I
pretty-
do encourage you to get us, I'm assuming this is the plan, basically, that you gave us today. Can we send this out to have somebody look at it, or is there gonna be
I would
changes?
rather get rid of the show cause and then do it after.
He's gonna
That's
look,
fine with me. I
Because
don't have a
Maybe
problem.
revise.
he's gonna look at that drain outlet and,
Yeah,
you know, what
that's
else.
fine.
I just want to know how you want to proceed. That's perfectly fine. And yes, we understand, you understand, that other than the erosion controls and this limited amount of cleanup,
Cleanup.
nothing else is getting done.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
On that basis, I think we need a motion to lift the show cause and allow matters to proceed as just discussed, which is the cleanup of the yard, stabilization of areas, installation and upkeep of erosion controls.
Motion to approve or to lift the show cause hearing.
Okay. Is
With-
there a second with those
With-
stipulations?
No, just that Jordan is out there when they do start, at least when they start the cleanup in the back. There's all kinds of stuff back there,
Yeah, I'm
and it
gonna
may
look
just
at
be empty, it may be bolts, whatever it is, but
I
there
mean,
could be
Frank-
stuff in there,
We grabbed a lot of those, drums, and they were empty,
Just
but
stuff, but-
you never know. That's
Well,
only
completely
takes
fair.
one.
I think that's what Dan's saying. Let's
Yep.
validate it. If there's a drum that hasn't been opened, pop the lid off, find out what's in it.
You got it.
It's methyl ethyl death, get the hell rid of it.
Take a big whip.
And
That's for sure.
honestly, how much do we have to consider the history of the site? If they're gonna be disturbing soils, what was there before?
Let's- we-
So with the
I think
motion to just address the show cause just in this,
Yeah.
it only applied to this area,
That's
that's all
correct.
we're
It
saying.
does not reach anything else, and we will get the final
We're not-
application. We'll have our questions,
not
and we're
planning
gonna
to
send it out to
excavate.
somebody,
Anything like that.
because there are
Even-
issues.
Even the parking wasn't really excavation. It's just that if you look at the plan, there's, they pushed onto the neighbor's property, he didn't, previous owners, pushed on the neighbor's property into a pond. And it's there, but sometimes, like the Houstonic River, you don't want to go in there and you start digging it out and disturbing it. So there's, two ways of looking at it.
Sorry to interrupt, that pipe that goes into the brook, you should find out where it goes, because there's two nasty chemicals that were leaked there, that I gave you a copy from the DEP.
Appreciate that. I think the application, we will be dealing with that.
Yeah.
I can't tell you what's going to come out of that, but we tend to not like direct discharges into brooks.
I'll
And
second them.
we are aware that there was a lot of crap that got
There
dumped
was
on
a
the
lot,
ground
yeah.
out there. Okay, so we've
I'll
had a
second the motion.
motion. Carl seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you again, Mr. Scoville. Appreciate your input.
Thank you.
Go out and make sure you get your yard cleaned up.
I'm cleaning it up.
Let them clean it up. Okay, 280 Jeremy Swamp Road.
280 Jeremy Swamp Road, the last we spoke, we were discussing putting a lien on the property related to the work that got done and the remediation that still needs to be done. Admittedly, I've not been able to dive into that process yet,
Okay.
but with some extra time this month, I should be able to follow up with 280 Jeremy Swamp.
So at this point, we need to continue to show cause. Okay. I'll move to continue the show cause in Jeremy Swamp Road until we can get a little more. 280 Jeremy Swamp Road.
I'll
Until
second.
we get further information. Carl seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. 346 Jeremy Swamp Road.
346?
Jordan?
You guys represent?
Marvin?
Marvin, correct.
Okay, I was not here for the last meeting.
Just one more time, state the name and everything.
Charles Spath. for
And
the
Jeremy
record.
Spath, Mr. Summers.
To the Summers Company, here on behalf of the owner and the attorney, Mr. Donnelly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this property, I wasn't here last meeting, so I'll briefly just go through this. This property, he had a retaining wall that was built, it was over the property line.
Since we moved back.
Then he went, the owner, and moved the moved the retaining wall off the property,
Off the neighbor's property.
off the neighbor's property, correct, sorry. Then he also built a pavilion, okay? And he did some disturbance down next to the stream. That is, oh my God, the north arrow's upside down. It's on the east side of the property. So what we're looking at doing, probably right now, grass is starting to grow. What we'd like to do is get out of the show cause, plant the grass down next to the stream. I was here 2 meetings ago, and I said, I'd like to just plant that, seed it, hay it. I think the last meeting, I'm not sure, Carl, you might have brought something up, John said, about
Yeah, the
some debris.
woody debris that they cleared and put down in the edge of the water course.
Okay.
That stuff has to come out.
Yeah, I
Off,
think I
off
got
their
the-
property, I
That's
believe,
off the
too.
property, though.
And I know the adjoining property owner, and he wrote a letter, Mr.
Yeah.
Mr. Edwards did give you
So
guys
we
approval.
can get that done. And then he still has a zoning issue,
Yeah,
but that's
with the gazebo or whatever thing, right?
a separate issue.
Or is it the fencing and everything, or
Just the
just the
pavilion.
gazebo?
It's really the
Pavilion and-
gazebo. You
and,
don't really
whatever
consider
that is,
fencing, it's really
pavilion.
the structure, roof. If you have a patio, you're okay, but if you have a structure, which that he built, I'm sure, I don't know, I won't say. I don't think you got a permit for it.
Okay,
I'm not sure. So we're just looking to get that show cause taken care of, and then he still has the issue, which I talked to the attorney over the weekend,
Mhm.
with the gazebo being too
With
close to the
zoning,
property
yeah.
line.
So zoning
That's
issues,
separate.
completely separate.
Yeah.
Let's just focus on the wetlands issues. And you guys were given approval last month to do the remediation, to clear this up.
So, yeah, well, I think I saw, where you said that nothing was done, but really, we're not gonna, I didn't know, I wasn't here last week. So I thought there was an issue with brush in the stream.
Mhm.
So John, John said to me was there was a problem with brush in the stream. So I was like, go take a picture, we'll take a look at it. So we can take care of this.
Yep.
As long as we get the permission, which you said we had.
Last meeting, we agreed
So
that
we're okay to remove
this would
that?
be.
I think
Yeah,
so.
we said that at the last meeting.
I wasn't here, okay.
No, it's
So-
totally fine, yeah. If
so
you guys
we-
want
so
to
we can get
reiterate that, that's fine.
So we can get that taken care of and work with you,
Mhm.
so you can take a look at it.
Just schedule, yeah, perfect.
Okay.
This can be,
Well, we
bang
need
this
to-
out in 2 days.
So we don't have to go out next.
We need to lift the show cause so you can do the work.
That's what I'm wondering. Yeah, we do not want to do any
We were
work.
still on the list.
Yeah, so I wasn't here last meeting.
That's fine.
I mean, we said you could do it anyway, but it's still better to lift the show cause.
So we'd like to do that, and then the zoning issue is a separate issue, which I talked to the attorney about, and he's going to probably have a meeting with you.
Mhm.
Procedural question. Should we have an application from them showing what they intend to do before we lift the
Good idea.
show cause? Because if we
Just-
lift the show cause.
I don't think it's a bad idea.
If we lift the show cause, there's nothing to say that they're gonna do anything.
It's fair.
Yeah.
So need
Or-
the application first,
Good
wouldn't
point.
we?
Good point, Carl. Yes.
An application
Carolyn,
or a
can you-
letter
Can you get one in
stating what we're
quickly?
doing.
Letter of intent.
Even
I'm
though-
just asking, because I don't know the
Not a bad-
answer.
No, I think that's a good idea. Even the last Mike's with across the street, so there's no miscommunication.
I think that's an excellent idea.
I think that's a good idea,
Okay.
So we can,
A quick drawing and a couple of words telling us what
yeah, so we
you
all
plan to
stick
do.
to, yeah, I think that's.
And then
good.
they can get right to the work. There's no procedural.
Well, we
don't
can
have
work
to
with you.
appear before the commission again and.
They don't have to appear, but we still
I
have to.
mean,
lift the
right
show
now-
cause. We're not lifting it yet.
Right now, there's no grass, there's nothing happening. You're trying to,
Can,
stop the erosion, let's stop it.
can we put it in a motion that will lift the show's cause with the submission of a
Acceptable
completed application?
application,
And then that doesn't cost them any time,
subject to
basically?
review by the enforcement officer.
Well, we're just accepting the application and then rescinding the show cause, but we'll have their application at least.
That sounds good, yeah.
The following
Right.
points with the following points that you were just mentioning.
Yes, I mean, it's something new. He's bringing this up, and I think it's a good idea to try out. Yeah, I think
Okay,
it's good.
so you're making that motion?
Yes.
Okay, so Carl's making a motion that the show cause be lifted upon submission of an application after the application has been reviewed by the enforcement officer for completion for the tasks which have been, which he's more familiar with than we are. I'll second that. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sounds
We
good.
may have a new procedure,
Let's keep it simple. Double line.
but we'll know who's doing what, Charlie. It's good for everyone.
Carl's idea, it's great.
Okay, that's 346 Jeremy Swamp Road. We're moving on to old business. Application 1710, 40 Berkshire Road.
So Thad was actually my site visit companion on this trip. During the site visit, it was kind of, it's a confusing site, and Sonia, if you don't mind going back to the previous months and then opening up 40 Berkshire Road under inland wetlands site visits. So, Dan and Carl, if you remember Harry Rawlinson's home on River Road, Berkshire Road, whatever this paper trail was called, there is one other house that technically exists on that road. So far beyond where those two buildings were, right along Berkshire Road, is a driveway cut off that seems to drop down a cliff, and then a couple hundred yards, then you hit Harry Rawlinson's home. You can go right to the photo, Sonia. So,
This is the partial road cut into the woods.
correct. So in going through this process and talking through it with Thad, it really, it was determined that there's really nothing this commission can do to approve something like this. It cuts across Southbury Town land. It likely cuts across paper roads. This was a pre-existing road, semi-road, that was maintained and utilized by this cottage home, summer home for quite some time. If this is going to be permissible, it would have to likely go through either adverse possession or reversionary rights for the owner to then have the jurisdiction to come before this commission and request approval for the grading and potential erosion issues that could occur.
It's a nightmare.
It's,
Looks like they've already done most of the grading and potential issues.
About 80% of it.
so he has ceased work. Erosion controls have been implemented along the side bank there.
The piles.
The piles, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a tough spot to maintain, frankly.
Absolutely.
But I will likely, if this commission agrees, be advising the applicant to rescind their application, continue ceasing work until such a time that he can legally figure out how this is going to shake out from.
Imagine that's within 100 feet of the river. right?
So if you notice, the cottage is in the distance there,
Yep.
and where the stockpile is at the end of the quote-unquote driveway, that's where he intended to stop. Everything beyond that is a footpath. It would be impossible to cut in and drive a car in there anyway, and it would be, useless, because you would just have a harder time getting out. From the farthest extent that I walked, the farthest extent of the excavation, I took a tape measure and ran downhill, and it was 80 feet on a diagonal. So it is technically in our jurisdiction. It does need to be handled, but there are a number of legal issues that need to be clarified beforehand before this commission can approve anything. And that is where 40 Berkshire Road sits.
We can't do anything with this if he has no legal access or right to it.
Correct. That's
There's
just,
nothing we can do.
Well,
I mean, we can order him to
I mean, it's
stabilize
still a
the mess.
violation, right?
Absolutely. But we certainly can't give him permission to do anything on somebody else's property.
I think we have to, at the very least, issue a notice of violation. Wouldn't you think so?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, significant work within 100 feet.
I mean, this is outrageous.
Where'd all the trees go?
Throw them down the hill, I don't know. Sold them, who knows?
It was my understanding that this was existing and maintained
A farm road.
as, yeah, exactly.
I
So
don't
the
know.
It's
trees
kind of a
weren't-
grassy farm road.
But somebody
My
bulldozed
guess
the
is it
hell
was
out of
more like a footpath going
Yeah.
down there.
Yeah, deer trail.
You look at how high up on the downhill side trees the dirt comes. They moved a lot of dirt there.
The depth of the cut there,
Yeah.
looks like it's about 6 feet.
Even if they just cut it back a little bit, it was already there, still quite a bit.
Do you think the erosion controls they put in place are gonna do the job?
Not long-term.
Yeah, I was about to say, one good rainstorm is gonna blow through and take everything else with it.
What are they doing?
Silt fence, he's got a couple layers.
It looks like it's gonna go down and go off.
The silt fence, it's.
Yeah,
it's
you
down-
could
it's
see a
gonna
low
go
spot
Down and
there.
find a low spot and go down the
Yeah,
hill.
it's right by
Where
that tree.
Shadow is, it's gonna
Yeah.
go right down there. You're gonna have a big gully going right down the
I
water.
have fun dragging it all back up the hill.
Yeah,
It's a nice little spot.
Well,
Which is what that other application, was it Pump Rug Trail that we went to? It's not a whole lot different than that, really.
well,
I mean, he had
It's
he had
just,
done that work significantly before
Possible
we
area,
got
yeah.
there,
Yeah.
but the same thing. I bet you it was the same person did it.
oh, same excavator, I
I-
wouldn't doubt it.
You're not gonna get a ton of people looking to do that.
No, you're right.
Are we within our rights to request corrective actions even if the land dispute isn't, there's a land dispute
well,
in
we
effect?
have the right to demand corrective action. Whether he can implement it is another matter, I think. Because he still can't trespass on other people's property at the same time he's got this bloody awful mess,
Well, he did work on his own property, I would imagine, right?
if he can get to it.
But I mean, is that, we are saying that he did work on his own property on this?
How so?
I don't know that he
It
did.
crossed the town property to get there, right?
I'll be frank with you, every ounce of that excavation still doesn't touch his property.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Where that house sits, far in the distance, and if Sonia, you can find that one photo that
can
shows
make
the
this-
house,
Why did he think that
the
was?
lot is essentially the size of that house, off in the distance.
I mean, we could suggest
Well, we
to the
can-
town to,
Sue his ass?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, that's,
Actually, we ought to issue an NOV first, and then
Yeah.
when he doesn't do anything, then the town has more authority to do something.
I think that's all we can do.
I think.
Well, you're saying there's a question of whether he can do anything.
How did we learn about
Well,
this?
there's can and can't.
I'm sorry?
you know.
How did we learn
If
about
he
this?
goes to the neighbor and says, I'll give you $100,000, let me fix this mess, he can fix it.
I was actually informed by Bob Harrison of some tree work going on in this area, was familiar with it, contacted Harry Rollinson and saw if he had heard anything, and he was friendly with this gentleman. Harry Rollinson contacted this gentleman contacted me. I was planning on visiting the site that day anyway, because I was getting permission from Harry. I was like, hey, Harry, I'm gonna drive past your house. I hope that's okay. I'm gonna try and get eyes on this thing. And then the guy David Cristiano ended up contacting me and saying, hey, come do a site visit, let's figure this out. He was very amicable. I mean, frankly, this is an impossible area. It's an impossible site. They're impossible lots. If he's able to get reversionary or adverse possession rights and then vegetates this area and gets it stabilized, I personally see no issue. But
It's gonna be an extended process, though.
it's gonna be a long legal process, and it's gonna be on the applicant. And if he's not able to follow through, then obviously remediation is the only option at that point.
But he could talk to the town, I guess through us, and whoever else's property went on, to
Only
get
town
permission
property,
to
in
real,
my opinion.
it's only town property?
Yeah, but he would not be granted an easement because there are paper roads.
No, but he can get permission to fix it,
Mm-hmm. Correct.
and I think the notice of violation might give him some impetus to do that.
So then we need to notify the selectman's office,
Mhm.
what's about this discrepancy, and
Well, it's a
then
trespass,
they can
destruction of
decide,
town
they can
property.
decide whether it needs to go to the town attorney.
Yeah, but I think if we put the NOV in place first,
think-
it gives them a little more power.
Yeah,
I
agreed.
mean, this is worse than, stealing from the dump.
Did he have his own equipment?
He hired a contractor.
And he hired someone to do
When you say paper roads, is there a paper road on this, where this is located, or does it go the, different direction?
You're familiar with the Berkshires. None of the paper roads line up with a single
Okay.
road out there currently. They were all put on a map, and no one actually
They don't mean
considered
anything.
what it actually meant.
All
So
right.
I don't have a surveyed drawing, but I would wager that this maybe at a few points touches on
Okay.
paper road. Paper roads are generally square, straight lines, and this runs laterally.
All right. Well, I would make a motion then to issue a notice of violation and send a copy of that along with a synopsis of your findings to the first selectman,
I'll
or the
second,
selectman office, I guess, however.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
All opposed? Motion passes. This is a mess.
it is, and it's gonna be much worse
Who the
before.
hell goes out and hires a contractor to go plow through somebody else's property?
Is it possible to get an insurance policy from that contractor that did the work?
That probably is, but I doubt that,
We have had that question raised before, and it never went anywhere. Because you have to have a different kind of ordinance in place for that to be an option, I think. We don't have that.
or sue them.
That's too bad.
That would work. But we don't have that either.
All right. What's next?
1711, 1200 Main Street South, we've taken care of that. Yeah, where am I?
Back of the,
Yeah, no, that's correct. So we're on the back. New business, application 1712, Painter Road. Venturelli, approval to cut down and pick up trees.
I think you all have the report in front of you.
One question before we start the next one. That 1200 Main Street South is listed as an application, so we already have an application in from them?
Yeah, well, if we did, Charlie withdrew it, because he told us he doesn't want to put it in until he gets the show cause taken care of.
Okay, I just want to make
And
sure
we're gonna
that we
need to
don't
have
run
that-
into any time
Yeah, I don't think-
issues with that.
He said that the documents he gave us are not complete for application purposes, so
Okay,
we don't have
then-
an application.
We're going to have to clarify and ensure that he withdraws the application.
Then make sure
If
our
there is
records, make
make
sure
sure
our
the
records show that it's been removed.
Cleared off, otherwise we get into all sorts of timing problems.
I'll get it in writing from the applicant.
Thank you. Okay, any major issues with this one? I'm looking at 1712.
1712 37 Painter Road, visited the site for a deck around a pool. Found out that, significant clearing had occurred, spoke with the owner, put in an application for remediation for this area, sent a letter, which I unfortunately didn't include, which Bill and Thad had a chance to read, just expressing his remorse for the effects that were occurred and the situation that he was under in relation to the tornado, various trees being littered about his property, and his desire to just clean up the property. He was cutting up the wood and giving it away. And that's essentially where it sits. Speaking with him about getting a planting plan in place and a remediation plan to clean up the wood chips along the ground area out there, replant any trees that were removed, and get the site back in general conformance.
And I haven't looked at it, does the application go through that? I mean, do we have a real application?
He submitted an application. I have no supplemental information. I have no plans, no planting plans. He's not gone that far to supply those yet. But he's seeking approval to cut down and pick up trees from tornado.
We still need a plan.
Correct.
Or
Yeah.
an
If we
application,
don't
right?
have it, then we don't have an application.
So I'm working with him to finalize a plan and get something on paper.
And how about the decking that was gonna go around the pool?
So the pool was approved by Ty back in '22. Looking at the map, I'm not sure if the map ever got pulled or maybe it was GIS was utilized, but if you look at that picture, right where the leaves start and the grass ends, that area back there is actually wetlands. You can actually see a fallen tree over there that became destabilized and some skunk cabbage just to the left of that image. That, in my opinion, should have been a minimal activity permit. Post a noticing in the newspaper, 15-day appeal period. This was a minor activity, but it went through a standard zoning ordinance or cadence. And so when the application came before me to install the deck, I wanted to get eyes on the property, reviewed the map, saw that there was wetlands out there, saw that they installed a pool, wanted to review the whole thing to understand if any inadvertent and negative effects had been caused to the wetlands. Speaking with Bill and determining that the deck going in would still fall under a minimal activity permit, it was determined that we would allow him to fall under the minimal activity permit for the deck so long as he got an application in a timely manner for the remediation of the tree clearing.
Which we still don't have.
A plan, yeah, we don't have a plan, so then the application is not.
Does our GIS show wetlands for this?
Does not, and I supplied the map to Deb to send out to GIS. For some reason, we had a surveyed drawing, but it never got implemented into the online system.
So there's no, like wetland flags or wetland markers from
Correct.
the town?
Nope, none.
I can see where this could be mistaken for a non-wetland area. Nothing is really jumping out at me that's telling me from these pictures that it's wetlands.
I would agree with you, yeah. There's an intermittent waterway in the back there that kind of cuts through where those Sonia one up,
There seems to be,
where those two
you know,
trees are falling, one down.
There seems to be a lot of upland-type
I would-
vegetation in there.
I would agree.
So I guess the question is, do we want to make the applicant go and have the property and everything tested in order for him to remove these dead trees?
We have a surveyed drawing. I don't see why having it resurveyed would be beneficial
We have a survey of,
Let's put it another way.
of the wetlands on file.
we do,
We do have it. Do we need?
That's what got me into this position in the first place.
Okay.
but
do
it's
we-
not in the GIS system?
Correct. Why, I don't know, but I handed off the map to Deb to get it implemented.
So he wants to continue with cleaning up that mess.
Continue and remediate. Yeah.
I think we,
What does
frankly,
the-
we need
what
a
does the
plan. How's he gonna
application
get in there?
actually
What's he
say?
gonna do? If the application doesn't say any of that, it's not an application.
Yeah, so he has no intentions of doing anything, just cleaning up.
Just cleaning
This
up.
is not
That was his whole purpose to begin with, given the fact that he was giving away every ounce of material that he had out there. There was a piece of machinery out there, and I said, hey, is this your machine? Like, what are you doing? And he said, actually, the last guy that came to pick it up brought the machine and then got it stuck. So he's been giving this stuff away, and the guy has since come and picked up the machine, but
As long as he's not planning to extend his lawn area.
I understand.
That's why I'd
Yeah.
like to have a plan. How are you gonna get this out of here? If it is in the wetland area, I don't want you to, we don't want him dragging a skidder in there.
Correct.
And until we
We've
get a
had
plan,
that.
I don't think we have an application, so
See you next month.
that's good, because it means we don't have any time limits either. So they need to get a complete application with an actual plan,
Mhm.
telling us what he's gonna do, the area, and how he's gonna do it. Other than that, I don't think it's a problem. I mean, it's just a matter of making sure he doesn't get back where he shouldn't be.
So he submitted an application but no plan? Is that kind of what happened? He filled out the sheet,
He
but
filled out the sheet,
Correct.
but nothing
basically
to
no
it.
details? Is that kind of where we're at?
No drawings or details in that manner, no.
That's my understanding. So I'm gonna move to take this off as an application until we get a completed application, including at least some kind of plan telling us how he proposes to do the tree removal.
So to remove it, you would have to deny it. The applicant would have to withdraw the application in order to
next
remove
month.
it.
Yeah, that's the only way you
I guess that's the only way you can do it, isn't it?
Is there no way to edit an application?
Not without the applicant here.
Is the time an issue with this? Can't we just continue this?
Time is not
out?
currently an issue. We just got the application in
But we still have a time limit.
15 or so days, but 65 days is,
Well, let's do it the other way then. We'll do it, act like it's an application, tell him it's not gonna be adequate. He's
Understood.
gotta complete it, and if we don't get something, we'll deny it. And
Understood.
then he's back into having to resubmit and put in money, and it becomes a real pain in the neck.
boy.
Do these all need to have site visits because they're under new business?
They don't all need to. I don't think this one does. Not until we get a plan, so we know what we're looking at.
Okay.
Application 1714, 1235 Georges Hill Road.
Is there,
Is there anybody here from the,
I don't think anyone here is representing the applicant. He was under a show cause last month. Got an application in, was removed from the show cause, is now filing under the application. This is the first time we're seeing the application. Essentially, this was supposed to be just a simple grading and reseeding operation that happened proximal to wetlands, but they just submitted that application.
I suppose we should schedule a site visit for that.
I think that's a good idea, to get eyes on the property and fully understand what's going on.
If you would, please, site visit for that one.
Do we need to make a motion for 37 Painter or 1235 Georges regarding the
We don't need a
continuance?
motion, just for a site visit.
Okay.
1716, 114 Overton Farm.
site
I
visit?
don't know anything about this.
Sonia, you can go back to my previous report. Enforcement, I believe. Fourth one down.
We already cleared
The
the
next
lots.
two are, these are site visits anyway.
Enforcement
These are all site
reports?
visits. These are site
Nope.
visits. 1716 is another site visit. so
Enforcement reports? Sonia, back one. There you go, one up. There you go. 114 Overton? So, and just to provide you, Mr. Costra is here today, and he supplied some photos of the lot, how it looks.
It's
Just
pretty
pass
good.
those down. If you don't mind just stating your name and your property?
Hello, everyone. Anis Gastrat for 114 Overton Farm Drive.
So Mr. Castrat was looking to build a pool since he's, I guess abandoned the idea for the pool for now.
Yep.
But he had, I think, a couple trees that were down. He had some minor grading in the back area. According to his application, extended it approximately 35 feet,
Extended what?
the grass area with the grading. Walking in the back area, it did appear that there were wetlands in the rear of the property between the two lots. There didn't appear to be wetlands really near to the grass area of his property. It was more confined to the wooded area. It was just superficial indication of wetlands out there via the photo that's in front of you. But Mr. Castrat is just looking for approval for the grading and seeding of this area.
Jordan,
Which
what are
is
we
already
looking
done.
at as far as where that is in relationship to these?
So that's gonna be in the far woods and to the left.
To the left,
So
okay.
off-screen far woods to the left.
I can see the
How
trees
far
leaning.
off?
Site visits.
I did not do measurements in the field.
I think we should take a look at it.
It's very level.
Pretty much site visits for everything. So
Okay.
let's schedule a
Is there
site
a water
visit.
course off property there?
There's no water, it's a very, very
Looks flat.
flat area.
Yeah.
So the drainage is insignificant. That's really why this water is here, standing in this area. It's developed all around, so if this wetland area does have a place to confine itself, it's a small area between parcels. It's developed all around in this area, so
Well, let's take a
I
look
think
at it.
getting eyes on it would be beneficial.
Look at that and George's Hill, hopefully at the same time. Okay, so you'll get a call.
Yeah, okay.
Come out and take a
That's
look.
good.
Thank you, sir.
Hopefully sometime soon?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, we'll be looking in the next
Sure.
couple weeks. likely.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Try
I
to
learned
get
a
up
lot
as
today.
quickly as possible.
Sitting over here.
Yeah,
Thanks a lot.
You're welcome to stay.
All right. I have kids, I gotta go.
yeah, that's fair.
All the more reason to stay. Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Okay, take care. Application 1717.
Applicant is not here, but if you're familiar with
This is Kevin Bennett.
the old Waterbury Road,
Yeah,
yeah, 830G development that went in,
Is this maintenance and restoration, or is this new construction?
this is a new construction.
new
This
construction.
is going to be another 830G going up next to
Okay.
the one that was just built on Old Waterbury Road.
Got it.
Downhill of,
Okay, schedule site visits.
back towards Main Street.
Yeah, down, yeah, exactly.
I'm not familiar with it. So take a look at that.
It's a simple, it's a stormwater management system that they're going to need to construct and get approval from this commission.
How big?
Quite large. It's a multifamily.
I thought,
Just like
Was
one
it
at
on-
how
Orange.
many units do you?
On-site retention, or?
Should be, it's
So
supposed to be
should-
zero discharge.
Should be. The last unit,
18 units?
12,
12?
I want to say. 12 or 18, yeah, I'm trying to count in my head, but it's sizable, so. They managed pretty well in the last one, so we'll see how this
That
goes.
helps.
What did you call it, an 8?
It's 830G. It's the affordable housing state statute that was passed. So this is how this is getting pushed through. So Wetlands is still,
He couldn't get it through his regular housing.
Oh, that's
So
what,
he went for
that's
affordable
what he did with
housing, which he
ONG too.
kinda can't stop.
it's hard to do, even as a developer, if you don't have the ability to put in the infrastructure, which is one of the main components for 830Gs, which is the septic and sewage. It's sizable and it's pretty intense, so not many people are able to meet those necessary requirements.
Yeah, but it's fairly important.
Very important.
Okay. Other business, work session for aquifer regulations.
Oh, yeah, where did
Got
we-
made, what's our status on that?
I've not gotten a chance to update the regulations so that we can get rolling on that. Frankly, I've
Push
been
that off
pretty slammed.
again. Really?
Yeah, it's been
Are
fun.
we waiting to hear from the state on that, or?
No, I need to make the corrections to the regulations that they recommended, and then we need
And
to
then we can
get,
look at it.
we need to get rolling on the actual adoption of those regulations.
Submitting a map or something to them, or did we do that already?
We opted, I think we discussed this and said, correct me if I get this wrong, basically Deep came back and said, well, no one's ever actually changed anything.
Really?
So if you do, it's gonna take forever to get anything done.
That's
So it will be a lot
encouraging.
easier for you, and especially for us, if you just say, okay, we'll take the map as we got it, and try to figure out how to enforce it.
Summed it up pretty well. We expressed a major concern related to the training school and any future development, and Kim Zapla of the DEP made the case that if that development did get underway, that we would be able to cover the aquifer protection through standard processes that would have to be, enforced and gone through during the natural site development phase process.
In other words, we would have to put it all into the building files and
Correct.
into the land records so that they couldn't do all the stuff the
And into the
protection
wording of
regulations say you can't do.
whether it's a
'Cause they don't want to
PDD.
screw around with our changing their boundaries,
Right, it's kicking the can down the road.
even though the
Yeah.
statute specifically says you can.
If you do it on time, we are 16 years too late.
Oh, picky.
I know, crazy, right?
Yeah,
So,
so,
we'll just roll with it.
yeah, we don't really have a choice. Actually, I think we should nominate you as the new chair for the aquifer protection regulations, because you're so interested in it.
I do like aquifer issues, sure.
Cool.
Okay. Careful what you say. Okay, reports of officers, staff, and committees.
None.
Thank goodness.
Sorry.
Thank you. Bills and
Fine.
receipts.
I do. So we have plenty of catching up to do from 2022 November, December, and then all of 2023. So 2022 November was $1,320. December was $75. Then January of 2023 was $240, February $570, March $308, April $1,290, which brings us to a grand total of $3,803.
Great. Thank you. Correspondence. Turf management practices and procedures letters from Public Works. I have not looked at anything, so I don't know what we do with that. Sonia, you have something to?
You included it, right? Yeah, then we can,
What are you talking about, the turf management?
Yeah.
That's just basically a letter from Public Works saying we're required to report to you that we're putting down particular
Herbicide.
fertilizers
The
and,
same one we got last year?
because we probably haven't gotten one of them in many years,
Yeah.
but there's somebody new over now and they're.
They're paying attention?
Yes.
well, we ruffled the cage with the last Settlers Park turf management
Could be.
thing, so
Because they didn't submit anything.
I think it
Umpteen
got
years.
brought to the forefront that this hasn't been followed through with, so.
They were supposed to be sampling too, right? But they didn't. There was a
Yeah,
bunch of
we had
theory.
SLR determine that, I think it was like yearly sampling post-application, just to see if things were leaching in rather than running off,
Right.
was what they determined would be adequate.
Okay, works for me. All right, minutes of the April 18 meeting, any comments?
Good.
Okay, good. That's enough of that. Those are approved then, Sonia?
Do we need a motion to approve and then a second on that?
The minutes?
The minutes?
No.
No. It's only if we have objections to it, want to change it. Otherwise, it goes through.
Good to know.
Any other business? Sir?
I notice around town, many of the roads are marked up with paint along the edges, and I'm wondering if we've reached out to the new head of the Public Works Department for sort of our customary, please come by and tell us what your plans are for road constructions this summer. It sort of keeps us ahead of the curve a little bit.
Yeah, I think Jordan did do that. Didn't you talk to them? And they said they'd send somebody in to sort of fill us in on what their plans were?
Right, and then we ended up hitting the cancellation and then special meeting, so
Okay,
it
so
got,
that's
it got hijacked, yeah.
Okay.
So I will reach out to Blake Leonard again, make sure that, you know, whether or not it's a special meeting between us or whatever the case may be, but
Whatever.
I think it'd be good to have him in here too and
Well,
just discuss that.
Easiest if they can, we're not that busy. If they can come to one of our regular meetings, that would be
That'd be wonderful,
easiest.
yeah.
Otherwise, something around 3 o'clock-ish, most people seem to be able to do that.
And I think in the meantime, maybe the commission needs to consider what road repair and activities that we would like to see plans for, and what type of activities we consider to be their, you know, their purview, so to speak.
I have a couple of quickies, like repaves, do we care?
No,
But new curbs?
I think,
That's
that can be an
maybe-
issue.
speaking with both of them, it is their, they understand that it's wetlands purview to remove curbs, and it seems to be what they want. It's not what the residents want, but Public Works is, essentially supporting inland wetlands in the case that they also don't want to be installing curbs unnecessarily.
Well, that's our primary, and then
Yeah.
the rest is,
So hearing that from them will be better, but
where are you putting this, do the sewers get cleaned out? Where's the effluent go? All that normal stuff.
okay. That'll be great. That'll be a good discussion.
I have a question. For application 712,
Yes.
you said that you're going to consider the application incomplete. We need a motion for that? Since it's an action
Did we say that?
We-
I thought we said we were gonna tell them that if they didn't get a real plan in, we would then determine it was incomplete and deny it.
At the next
So we're
meeting.
not doing that yet.
Okay, so we're not denying, but in order to do that,
We're continuing it.
We're continuing it.
okay.
That's where she was going.
Thank you, Sonia.
Anything else anyone cares to discuss? Otherwise, I think we can all go home and have dinner. Okay, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
10 seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you all coming in. It isn't snowing, that's good.
Oh, and just matter of fact, next week marks the anniversary of the tornadoes that came through town 5 years ago.
Yep.
5 years ago.
5 years ago.
And we're still,
My
we're
God.
still cleaning up.
Yeah.
I can't. Everyone
5
wants to
years
tell
ago.
me all about it every time I go to their house.
May 15th.
Okay.
No, I don't recall trees being taken.
You know, a lot of them are legitimate. People have these older trees by their houses.
Yeah.
Lights
And
hitting a lot of
trees that